Okay, so this is the September edition of the Cosmos SDK Community Dev Call. This is a monthly call that is open to Cosmos SDK developers and community members that are interested in learning about the progress of SDK development. And this is hosted by the Regen Network Engineering team. We got a couple members of our engineering team on the call today, and we're just going to run through some items on our agenda in regards to recent releases that have come out in the last month, and looking ahead at some of the work that we're working on in relation to the 4.5 release, as well as what the roadmap looks like to v1.0. Last month, we covered a quick overview of the authorization module tutorial, as well as the releases that happened in August. And there's no demo today, but yeah, we have an opportunity to discuss some of these releases that are going out, as 2 releases going out today. So yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into that. The v4.4 release went out September 1st. This was a security release, which contains a consensus breaking change. This release actually went out as a fix for the 4.3 release, and 4.3 is discontinued. So chains that are upgrading will need to upgrade to the 4.4 release. And as you see here, there's a note about when performing the upgrade that the upgrade needs to happen directly to the 4.4.1 release, which went out today. It's going to be recommended to do that upgrade. There was no new features added in this release. This was simply a security release. And if you have questions about that, we can dive into that in the discussion. But the 4.4.1 release, as I just mentioned, it did go out today. It fixes non-determined issue when performing in-place store migrations, fixes an issue using ABCI query requests height field if it is non-zero, otherwise continue using client context height. IAVL v017.1, significant performance improvements on a batch load, and improving the cache KV store data structures algorithms to no longer take n to the power 2 time interleaving iterators and insertions. Robert, you're on the call. Do you want to provide any additional comments in relation to this release?
Yes, thanks, Ryan. You, in fact, correctly already summarized it. So we have few minor fixes. I think the important one is the second one for the user who is using the chain. Yeah, so previously when we wanted to get some historical query, it was not working correctly, so that's fixed. And the first one is very important for all the chains which are going to upgrade. We kind of missed that in our tests, only when Terra was doing, that was the crypto.com, it was doing the tests on a bigger scale, noticed that it was not stable, and we found that there is this non-determinism. So bear in mind that it's only on the update. It's not, there's no, what's the worst case with what can happen? Basically, when you make an upgrade, then the chain can halt immediately during the upgrade because the validators will not agree on the right state commitment. So if that happens, you need to do an upgrade one more time, and you better have the backup. Otherwise, yeah, the validators will need to agree manually to rather sync and pick up the one of the, I think there are only 2 options. Yes, about the state. So no determinism here will, 44 is related to the order between the oath and the stake migration, like which of them is going to happen first. Right. So again, if you are planning to do an upgrade to 044 and you are running 042, then use 44.1. If you already upgraded to 043, then you are not subject to that issue. It's only when you upgrade from 42 to 44.
Great, thank you. The next slide is the release for 4.2.10, which it includes several of the same changes, just backporting to the 4.2 release branch and making that 4.2.10 release, so it's available for chains that are currently using 4.2. Is there any additional context you want to provide here as well, Robert?
Nothing specific. I think the important one is also maybe I should like say that in both of the cases, yes, we merged the Tendermint upgrades to 34.13, if I'm not mistaken, which has some fixes and performance improvements. Yeah, this one was mainly requested by the chains which are still on 42 and wanted to run on the latest Tendermint.
Cool, great, thank you. And transaction improvements in V045. I believe, Corey, you were gonna maybe provide a little overview of this.
Yeah, so in lieu of Amri, who's not able to join today, he's kind of leading the coordination on our TX improvements working group. We are currently in the place of migrating middleware, migrating the anti-handler functionality into a middleware architecture. And that is kind of in an effort to support this feature of meta transactions. This is the kind of next feature that we're sort of holding to for our 0.45 release, and the main piece of functionality that that we're kind of slotting in within the scope of 0.45. What meta transactions is it's the ability for someone to pay a fee in the form of a tip that is not natively tracked on the blockchain in which they're executing that tip on. So the example here would be that a Regen token holder can submit a transaction on the hub, given that, let's say, they have IBC Regen tokens on the hub without holding any atoms on the hub. They would be paying a tip in this IBC Regen denom, and then someone, third party, who kind of intercepts that transaction with the tip would be like taking that, adding a fee to it in the native atom token, and then submitting that fully kind of signed transaction with signatures both from the original user as well as this this fee payer on chain. And the on-chain execution of that would send the tip to the fee payer and would deduct the fee from the fee payer. So that's the general flow. And this is meant to be a story that really helps with both IBC and general like DEX functionality, as now we're in a situation where, at least in the context of both Osmosis and the Gravity DEX, there's a lot of token holders who might not necessarily have the native staking token on that chain, but they've got a bunch of IBC denoms that they're wanting to transact or to make swaps between. And so it's important that fees are able to be paid, and that people are able to be able to send transactions on a network that doesn't that does have a minimum gas price without the end user having the staking token. So what this involves is two new sign modes, Amino Aux and Direct Aux, which are in the process of being implemented. Once those are written, then basically the SDK side of this work will be complete, and we'll be planning to tag an 0.45 release. We'd initially wanted to implement this new auxiliary sign mode as a kind of part of this larger sign mode textual work, where we think about sort of what's the future of a hardware wallet friendly sign mode. But that specification work seems to be requiring a bit more rigorous design and conversations with, in particular, the Ledger team, our friends at Zondax, who are working on the Cosmos Ledger app, as well as some other client developers just Simon from the Cosmos JS team. And so that working group has started and is going to be kind of decoupled from this 045 release process. And yeah, if anyone's wanting to get involved in that, you can let me know or ping Amory. Yeah, it's a Simon textual working group, and it's probably going to take some time to get this right, but you know, we're trying to involve the right people and yeah, keep the ball rolling on it.
Great, thanks, Corey. And the final item we have here is the road to V1.0. Robert, I believe you're going to provide a little update on this.
Right. So we don't want to break the Proton. Yeah, we don't want to break the Proton API. By the Proton API, yes, what we mean is the format communicating with the blockchain, the Proton communication. For 1.0, we are really focusing now to do the 1.0 release. We already see that community is having an issue with keeping up with 0.4x releases, notably the tool developers who are not able to import at the same time to 0.40 something versions of Cosmos SDK into their code. Normally, that should only be a problem for those who need to deserialize the state, the database state, or the objects from the state. And yeah, we have that cases. Also, this wants to bring us to, let's say, a major release communicating that it's really stable, it's used in production, and we are keeping up and doing hopefully a good job. Few major things going to V1.1, so it's reducing few technical debts we have. So notably the singleton with the SDK.config. Another one is the app wiring, so the base app and all the boilerplate code around it. And finally, the modularization, better modularization of the Cosmos SDK by extracting, pulling off the compiled proto Go code to separate Go modules.
Great, thanks for the update. The last item here is just a reminder that there is a issue open up on Cosmos SDK repo that is has a list of all of the working groups that are currently in progress, either in the design phase or the implementation phase. And if you're interested in joining in and helping out with any of these tasks or projects, there's links to the discussion and there's links to epics, and you can see what's going on in terms of issues and get involved with the members of different working groups and help out with the Cosmos SDK development. But that brings us to the end of our first part of this meeting, which is just a quick update. And now I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and we'll dive into the discussion.